Hi, this is Dr. Brenda with the Corner Bench, and I'm going to do my E for economical health on today. Now, the E for economical health comes from, if this is your first time watching any of my videos, then I'm doing this little series on beers, chips and beers. The beers is BEERS, and that's behavioral health, emotional health, economical health, relational health, and social health. So, right now I'm on the E for economical health. And I am going to put on my glasses. I don't know how I started trying to do this without them. I think the recording started sooner than I planned it. But generally, what you want to ask yourself when it comes to economical health is, how am I surviving? How am I surviving? What is, because we all have to have a means of surviving. You know, some people use social services as a means of surviving, and I would never kick that back in, because I did once upon a time, raising children and having 3 kids. I was on public assistance, and I thank God for that period of time that I was able to be at home as a single mom, raising my children, taking them back and forth to school, being a part of their education and being a part of I was like a classroom mom throughout their entire years in school. So generally, well, until I got to high school, should I say, but generally I have always been involved. So in order to get back to generally what we're talking about, is you have to do something to survive. How are you surviving? Is it public assistance? Is it that you have a part-time or full-time job? Are you being supported by your parents or by someone else? Are you working or as an entrepreneur? So all of those are means of income. Some people get Social Security, and that's as a result of people working. So it's still a means of income. So how am I surviving? What steps am I taking to prosper? And prosperity can mean so many different things to different people. Some people may say, I'm prosperous, but they may not have a lot of financial means. And I would never say no to that. And no one else should either. But there is a definition for prosperity in terms of dollars and cents. And there is a definition for prosperity, because even the scripture teaches us that God desires above all things that we prosper and be in health. So all of this economical health is a part of prospering and being in health. Okay, so how am I surviving? Because healthy people not only are surviving, but they're in a position to, as I will talk about later, socially be a help to someone else, because all of these beers connect together. I would say this session that I'm teaching on beers is a homogeneous mixture of everything, because of the fact that it's the same. One thing affects the other, and the next thing can benefit the other. So it's all tied together, I would say, as a homogeneous mixture. You can get it all, the same substance in all of the teachings. So generally, what steps are you taking to prosper? Okay, so say, and it's very important even for young people, say you're starting out, especially young and your teens, and nowadays young people making money or getting it from their parents, people who taking care of. For sure. That's what it means. Hopefully, they're being taught to, earn that, chores, things of that nature, so they can be productive citizens, even if a child is wealthy, and they don't have to literally work in the house. It's good to be able to give them a great sense of work ethic in one way or another, maybe require them for their allowance to be able to do some volunteer work, help at a soup kitchen, help somewhere in the community. There are a lot of different programs that need useful, fit-worthy individuals to help facilitate, when as they're dealing with clients, as they're dealing with social services, as they're dealing with the youth, so we're dealing with the homeless. There are a lot of different things that people can do. So even though a person may have means, you can still teach a child how to contribute to society, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting paid for it, but it's an exchange. So even with young people, if you start saving now, you'll have to save less. If you start saving now, you have to save less over a longer period of time. So if you can save a little bit over 40, 50 years, by the time those 40, 50 years have approached, you will have a wonderful nest. And that's what the IRA concept is about. So if you have those type of benefits inside of your job, then what you want to do is take advantage of them. Take advantage of anything the company is matching. Take advantage of 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. Those are benefits that we have on our job. So sign into them and contribute as much as you possibly can in this economical time. Because we are thinking about being economically healthy. Right now, food is very expensive. How are you surviving? It's kind of challenging. How are you surviving? So, honestly, I can't even go food shopping right now. And that's the God honest truth. I can't even afford to go food shopping right now. But I do have a reason for that. So I'm exercising my economical health also. But I've been over the last 8 months through a financial situation, devastation with my job and with, my health, and just going through quite a bit. So I have, in a matter of 6 months, become economically unhealthy. And those were as a result of situations that somewhat were out of my control. So overall, you have to get to a place where, you are economically healthy. And I will be again. There have been times in my life where I was not economically healthy. And then, you know what? I love the word of God because it said there's a time to lose, a time to gain, a time to embrace, a time to kill, a time to, refrain from embracing. So there's a time for everything. So one thing I learned about myself when it comes to economical health is that I'm resilient. I'm going to bounce back. I had a home repossessed. I had, foreclosed and taken. I had my Lexus repossessed. So I had some possessions and I lost them all. But, I'm in a position right now where I'm better off now than I was then. Then, in terms of, was I not in this experience that I'm having over the last 8 months? And it's a lot entailed to that, but I'm still in a better place. So sometimes you lose and sometimes you gain, and I find that my resilience comes when I'm at the lowest that I can be. I have to fight to get back. I have to fight to achieve, and and you have to fight to get your economical health back, because when you're economically healthy, that means you have some security. And I think that is what threatens any of us if we don't have security when it comes to how we going to feed ourselves. How are we going to have a roof over our head? What am I going to do if I lose my car? What's going to happen if I can't take care of my child? What is going to happen? I remember standing in food lines. You got to do what you got to do. And I would walk when I used to be able to walk. So I thank God. You know, I couldn't do that now. I thank God for a vehicle. But yeah, I used to have to walk into a food line. You know, me and my children, we had to eat. There was a period of time, even when there was nobody in my house had a job, nobody. It was just rough for us during that time. And we got food from a food bank. And I remember the Pastor Charles. Boy, oh boy, I used to do some community service and things of that nature. And I'm always doing things like for the community and past everything I was doing, right? And then when you get to a place where you're down, thank God I knew, because I would send people to his food bank to get food. So I was able to go there and I explained to him my situation. And he let me get food. And at that time, they had like mad sausage. I think I made sausage in every way I possibly could make it. But we ate every day. Yeah. But we are now all in a great place of taking care of ourselves. We're not all in one home. You know, sometimes even losing a home you think is the worst thing. Because at the time, I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen. I lost my home. Yeah, so now where I'm going to live. My son and daughter-in-law, they said, come live with us. You could come live with us. And I lived with them for a year. And then I moved in with my sister. And I told her I'll be here for 2 years because I knew it takes 2 years of tax returns. 2 years of building, saving, accumulating to become economically healthy. So I did. I said I was going to stay there for 2 years. And pandemic hit. So I said, you know what? I could still go looking for a house. I've been on 8 houses. Lost every bid. And people were bidding like a lot. A lot. One person I was talking to on the phone, he said he bid $200,000 over the asking price of a home and lost the bid. So it was a bidding war. And I don't know how intense it is right now, but I've been on 8 homes, you know? So it's like, and I wind up having to rent a place because I couldn't find a home. And just to be in a place where you may be threatened about how you're going to live or how you're going to eat, or, you know, that's not an economically healthy place to be in. So, you know, it takes 2 years to be able to put yourself in a position. Use all those free social services like Credit Karma. I'll shout it out forever and ever. Credit Karma is amazing. I'm not saying none of the other ones are, but that's the one I use. I just was curious. I went on, I signed in, and I have a relationship with Credit Karma at this point. You know what I mean? I got approved for credit cards, and you know, you have to do what you have to do in order to get yourself economically healthy. And I'll tell you, it was a process. The first credit card I got back, because as I shared with you, I lost everything, foreclosure, repossession. So, some way, somehow, I came out on top of that. To God be the glory. And I say that wholeheartedly, because I don't even know how it happened. But when I started to rebuild, I knew it would take me 2 years. I've done it before, and I said I can do it again. Anything you've done before, you can replicate and do it again. That's what franchise is about. You know, you get one thing running well, and you can do it again, duplicate. So, you know, if you know that you're able to do one specific thing, and I started talking about, gosh, I think I get a little, you know, in these thoughts. Thank God for some help to be able to bring me back on point. It may come back, but I was talking about being able to be in a position, and I know I was sharing about the repossessions and, you know, how I was, how I needed to be able to put myself back in track. So it takes 2 years. So what I did was I went to Credit Karma. I'm back on track. I went to Credit Karma, and they showed me how to get a credit card. So I had to put some money down, And what wind up happening, and it's not the case with everyone. Everybody's situation is different. I did a secure card. I put a portion down, they put a portion down. And I was able to use it. And I knew I used credit cards before, so I know that when the bill comes, pay the bill. If you can't afford to pay the bill when the bill comes, then don't buy it. So the things that I was doing with the credit card just to be able to establish credit is the only thing I would buy off that credit card was gas. Because I know if I'm going to fill up my tank with $40 worth of gas, I can pay that $40 on that card, because I have the $40 in my pocket. So anytime I get gas, I would always put it on that card. It showed that I have a consistent payment history, and I started out with as little as that. Then, as time went on, cards started to ask me for business. And then I started looking at the interest rates, of course, always looking at the interest rate, and they're always high because I did come from financial ruin and I was building again. So they're not going to give me a 0% credit, but I already know that my plan is to get the credit card, to use the credit card by paying off the bill when it comes, because I'm establishing credit. I want to purchase a home, and I know that late payments or no payments would affect the credit. So, I'm building. So I know exactly the steps that I needed to take to prosper, to be in a position to buy a home. And those are the steps I took. So as Credit Karma, then my car was in accidents. I don't believe in a car note because it's never been a positive experience, truthfully. But I always was liking to pay off a car, go spend the money to buy the car. And if something goes wrong on it, you get it fixed. Things go wrong on newer model cars. Too, maybe not brand new, then they have recalls, but you weigh the options. If you can, you do, and if you can't, you do what you can. If you can, you do, and if you can't, you do what you can. So what I can do at the time, what I could do was I was able to purchase the car straight outright. And when it came and I had to get a car note, because my car had been in, I was like, they're not going to take my little bit of savings, me spending thousands of dollars on a car just to avoid having a car note. Let me just go ahead and get a car note. So I went through Credit Karma. And I tried to see what I qualified for. And I qualified for Carvana. So I'm a credit, saw everything. I got a car. The car that I'm driving now already have for 4 years. And fact is, I didn't make any down payment. I was able to borrow I think the car cost like $20,000. I think. By the time everything was all over. But yeah, so I still have some time on there, about 2 years, and I'll be finished paying that. But the fact is that I took the steps necessary, and now that showed reflected on my credit score, and then other things reflected on my credit score, and then they see months, and mind you, I had been doing this for a couple of years. So now you got 24 months, no missed payments. You got 3 years full. You're always, because they're constantly updating you and then inviting you for this or that or the other in terms of credit cards. And at some point you may want a bigger credit card. Why? Because sometimes you like to travel. And if you got a little $500 credit card and your travel tickets and hotel and all of that, that's great to be able to use the credit card for that purpose. And then you can book it now with the credit card, and debit cards work too. But I'm just saying you're building credit, because your debit card don't work as credit. So a credit card is useful, and start off slow, because a credit card can sink you. It can drown you. And at some point, if you don't manage them properly, you can really be overtaken by them. That's why it's designed to pay the bill when it comes, so you won't have any finance charges, any late charges. But when things begin to spiral out of control with your finances, that's when things can go awry, and you can have some bad experiences with the credit cards, and now you are affected with your credit. It's happened. At some points it's happening. I've been living off of my credit cards ever since this situation happened. And I'm like that much at just not knowing what's my next step. But God has always given me the victory, and he always will, because as long as, and it's not to say nobody goes through challenges, because rain falls on the just as well as the unjust. That's what the word says. So we will always face challenges. But I always look at it like something good is going to come out of this for me. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm actually grateful. I can't even express. So that's why I'm not going to allow, these experiences to overtake me, because I've been in financial ruin before, and God forbid I ever go into it again. I'm resilient. I will climb up out of that hole some way, somehow, with my mind, with my thoughts, with my intentions, with my hope, with my support. I'm going to climb up out of that. So one thing I'm always asking myself is, how many streams of income do I need? Always more than one, because I always feel like, we need to be like either, and I used to do workshops, and I used to get opportunity to talk with young folk, and I would always share with them, in terms of building like yourself, in terms of your profession and your career. You want to build yourself, be like a tree opposed to like toilet tissue. So if you're like a toilet tissue, you're easily disposed of. They can get rid of you quick. Yeah, because anybody can do that job. Something that it's just easy to be done by anybody. You want to put yourself, because as a tree has many uses. We make toilet paper. We make paper. We build structures. So we want to be like a tree when it comes to how we outsource ourselves, how we market who we are. Yeah, be like a tree. I don't only have one use. I have multi-uses in different settings. So you have to make sure you value yourself that way. And because we bring something to the table. We bring something to the table. Economically, we bring something to the table. See, economic health means that you bring something to the table. There was a period of time when, truth be told, I ain't lying, I was on welfare. So you always got to think of things you can do. I wind up getting a job at a prison. My pastor wind up helping me spoke with someone and got me a job there. To God be the glory for that. It was very useful. And fact is that during those times, now you needing streams of income. And I'm a poet. I write poetry. And what I would do is I would write all types of poetry. And the poetry would be put inside of a frame. And I would go around in my car, make all types of gifts with my poetry. Plaques this size, little photo albums, all types of, beautiful things. And I would go where I see the young brothers hanging out. They do what they do. I would jump out my car and be like, anybody want to buy? And yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I could make a good $300-$400 selling those during Mother's Day. Absolutely. And that was a stream of income, helped me feed my children. Because what else did I do? There was even a time I didn't have money to give my children to every day. I was a single mom, and even though I was getting child support religiously, thankfully, religiously, it's still, I was raising 3 sons, 3 pairs of jeans a day, times 6, 7 days a week, 3 shirts, 3 underwear. Oh, those are a lot of clothes you got to wash. Y'all should know. If you only knew how I used to do my little routine going back and forth. So when I do my laundry, there would be like 8 bags. So I had a shopping cart. Before I had a car, had a shopping cart. My sons were too young at that point to help. So I would put 2 bags in the shopping cart, and I would take them to the laundromat, put those in the washer, go back home, get 2 more bags. By the time I get those 2 bags, just put them in, go back. Those clothes would be finishing the washer. I would put those in the dryer, put those in the washer, go back. So by the time those came out, I would do this back and forth. Man, I used to be able to walk. Oh man. But I was working on my economic health. I had to do what I had to do. I had to do what I had to do. Yep. That was a good memory. I'm going to have to cut this one off.